Okay, June 27th, 2 Kings 10:32 through 12:21. In those days, the Lord began to cut off parts of Israel, and Hazael conquered them in all the territory of Israel, from the Jordan eastward, all the land of Gilead, Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh, and Aor, which is by the river Aaron, including Gilead and Bashan. Now, the rest of the acts of Jehu and all that he did and all his might, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Jehu rested with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. Then Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his place. And the period that Jehu reigned over Israel and Samaria was 28 years. When Athaliah, the mother of Anaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all of the royal heirs. But Jezebel, the daughter of the king Joram, sister of Azaziah, took Joash, son of Azaziah, and stole him away from among the king's sons who were being murdered. And they hid him and his nurse in the bedroom from Athaliah so that he was not killed. So he was hidden with her in the house of the Lord for 6 years, while Athaliah reigned over the land. In the seventh year of Jehoiah, sent and brought the captains of hundreds of the bodyguards and escorts, and brought them into the house of the Lord to him. And he made a covenant with them, and took an oath from them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son. Then then he commanded them, saying, This is what you shall do. One third of you shall come on duty on the Sabbath, shall keep coming watch over the king's house. One third shall be at the gate of Sur, and one third at the gate behind the escorts. You shall keep the watch of the house, lest it be broken down. The two contingents of you shall go off duty on the Sabbath, shall keep watch over the house of the Lord for the king. But you shall surround the king on all sides, every man with his weapons in hand, and whoever comes within range, let him be put to death. So the captains of the hundreds did according to all that Jehoiah the priest commanded. Each of them took his men who were to be on duty on the Sabbath, and with those who were going off duty on the Sabbath, and came to Jehoiah the priest. And the priest gave the captains of hundreds the spears and the shields which had belonged to King David, that were in the temple of the Lord. Then the escort stood, every man with his weapons in hand, all around the king, from the right side of the temple to the left side of the temple, by the altar of the house. And he brought out the king's son, put a crown on him, and gave him the testimony. They made him king and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said, Long live the king. Now, when Athaliah heard the noise of the escorts and the people, she came to the people in the temple of the Lord. When she looked, there was the king standing by the pillar, according to the custom, and the leaders and the trumpeters were by the king. All the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. So Athaliah tore her clothes and cried out, Treason, treason. And Jehoiah the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds and the officers of the army, and said to them, Take her outside under guard, and slay with the sword whoever follows her. For the priest had said, Do not let her be killed in the house of the Lord. So they seized her and went by the way of the horses' entrance into the king's house, and there she was killed. Then Jehoiah made a covenant between the Lord, the king, and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, and also the king and the people. And all the people of the land went to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They thoroughly broke in pieces its altars and image, and killed Mattan, the king of Baal, before the altars. And the priests anointed officers over the house of the Lord. And then he took the captains of hundreds, the bodyguards, the escorts, and all the people of the land, and they brought the king down from the house of the Lord, and went by the gate of the escorts to the king's house. Then he sat on the throne of the king. So all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city went quiet, for they had slain Athaliah with the sword in the king's house. Josiah was 7 years old when he became king. In the seventh year of Jehu, Josiah became king, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibath of Beersheba. Josiah did what was right in the sight of the Lord all the days in which Josiah the priest instructed him. But the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense on the high places. Josiah said to the priests, all the money of the dedicated gifts that are brought into the house of the Lord, each man's census money, each man's assessment money, and all the money that a man purposes in his heart to bring to the house of the Lord, let the priests take it for themselves, each from his constituency, and let them repair the damages of the temple, wherever any dilapidation is found. Now it was so by the 23rd year of King Josiah that the priests had not repaired the damages of the temple. So King Josiah called Jehoiada and the priests and the other priests and said to them, why have you not repaired the damages to the temple? Now therefore do not take more money from your constituency, but deliver it for repairing damages of the temple. And the priests agreed they would neither receive more money from the people nor repair the damages of the temple. Then Jehoiada the priest took a chest, bore a hole in the lid, and set it beside the altar on the right side as one comes into the house of the Lord. And the priest who kept the door there put all the money brought to the house of the Lord. So it was, whenever they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up and put it in bags and counted the money that was found in the house of the Lord. Then they gave the money which had been appointed into the hands of those who did the work, who had the oversight of the house of the Lord, and they paid out the carpenters and builders who worked in the house of the Lord, and the masons and stone cutters, and for the buying timber and hewn stone to repair the damage of the house of the Lord, and for all that was paid out of the repair for the temple. However, there were not made for the house of the Lord basins of silver, trimmers, sprinkler bowls, trumpets, or any articles of gold or articles of silver from the money brought into the house of the Lord. But they gave that to the workmen, and they repaired the house of the Lord with it. Moreover, they did not require an account from men into whose hand they delivered the money to be paid to the workmen, for they dealt faithfully. The money from the trespass offerings and the money from the sin offerings was not brought into the house of the Lord, it belonged to the priests. Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. Then Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem. And Josiah, king of Judah, took all the sacred things that his father, Jehoshaphat, and Jeroboam, and Asaiah, king of Judah, had dedicated, and his own sacred things, and all the gold found in the treasuries of the house of the Lord in the king's house, and sent them to Hazael, king of Syria. Then he went away from Jerusalem. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of Chronicles in the kings of Judah? And his servants arose and formed a conspiracy and killed Joash in the house of Milo, which goes down to Silla. For Josachar, the son of Shemeth, and Josabeth, the son of Shomar, his servant struck him. So he died, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. Then Amasa, his son, reigned in his place. Acts 18, 1 through 22. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and went to Corinth. And he found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome. And he came to them. So, because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and worked. For by occupation they were tent makers. And he reasoned in the synagogues every Sabbath and persuaded both Jews and Greeks. When Silas and Timothy had come from Macedonia, Paul was compelled by the Spirit and testified to the Jews that Jesus is the Christ. But when they opposed him in blasphemy, he shook his garments and said to them, your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean. From now on, I will go to the Gentiles. And he departed from there and entered the house of a certain man named Justus, one who worshiped God, whose house was next door to the synagogue. Then Crispus, the ruler of the synagogue, believed on the Lord with all of his household, and many of the Corinthians, hearing, believed and were baptized. Now the Lord spoke to Paul in the night by vision. Do not be afraid, but speak, and do not keep silent, for I am with you, and no one will attack you to hurt you, for I have many people in this city. And he continued there a year and 6 months, teaching the word of God among them. When Gallio was proconsul of Antioch, the Jews with one accord rose up against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat, saying, this fellow persuades men to worship God contrary to the law. And when Paul was about to open his mouth, Gallio said to the Jews, If it were a matter of wrongdoing or wicked crimes, O Jews, there would be reason why I should bear with you. But if it is a question of words and names in your own law, look to it yourself, for I do not want to be judge over such matters. And he drove them from the judgment seat. Then all the Greeks took Sothius, the ruler of the synagogue, and beat him before the judgment seat. But Gallio took no notice of these things. So Paul still remained a good while. Then he took leave of the brethren and sailed for Syria. Priscilla and Aquila were with him. He had his hair cut off at Caesarea, where he had taken a vow. And he came to Ephesus and left them there. But he himself entered into the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. When they asked him to stay longer time with them, he did not consent, but took leave of them, saying, I must by all means keep the coming feast in Jerusalem, but I will return again to you, God willing. And he sailed from Ephesus. And when he landed in Caesarea, he had gone up and greeted the church and went down to Antioch. Psalms 145, 1 through 21, a praise of David. I will exalt you, O God, O King, and I will bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you, and I will praise your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall praise your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts. I will meditate on the glorious splendor of your majesty and on your wondrous works. Men shall speak of the might of your awesome acts, and I will declare your greatness. They shall utter the memory of your great goodness and shall sing of your righteousness. The Lord is gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger and great in mercy. The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are all over his works. And your works shall praise you, O Lord, and your saints shall bless you. They shall speak of your glory, the glory of your kingdom, and talk of your power, to make known the sons of men his mighty acts, and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures throughout all generations. The Lord upholds all who fall, and rises up all who are bowed down. The eyes all look expectantly to you, and you give them their food in due season. You open your hand and satisfy the desire of every living thing. The Lord is righteous in all of his ways, gracious in all of his works. The Lord is near to all who call upon him, and to all who call upon him in truth. He will fulfill the desire of those who fear him, and also will hear their cry and save them. The Lord preserves all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth shall speak the praise of the Lord, and all flesh shall bless his holy name forever and ever. Proverbs 18:1. A man who isolates himself seeks his own desire. He rages against all wise judgment. Okay. See y'all tomorrow.